There is a reason why this message got to you. What quantum physicists refer to as an observer loop is where your consciousness has been working. Over and over again, the same reality is created every day because your awareness keeps collapsing the same probability waves. The fact that you've been feeling this means that something deep inside you knows what I'm talking about. That creepy, persistent feeling that you're going through the same patterns, having the same conversations, and being let down by the same people over and over again. Like a broken record playing the same sad song over and over again, your life feels like it's on repeat. It's not a coincidence that you are here watching this. It's the best kind of synchronicity. There have been signals coming from your quantum field, and they are desperately looking for a frequency that will finally break this cycle. And in response, the universe led you to this transmission. Set your intention to break this cycle before we go any further. To subscribe to this channel, you do more than just click a button. You consciously align yourself with the frequency of freedom. You can think of it as tuning your reality to a broadcast of all the possible outcomes. Do it right now, and feel the small change as you make a promise to grow. As you align your own energy, think about who else in your life might be stuck in the same loop. It is a quantum act of kindness to share this transmission. Many people become more aware of it, which helps this frequency find people who are calling for it, like you were. Just think about it. Right now, millions of people are scrolling through content. But only a certain kind of consciousness, your kind of consciousness, would stop and feel these words' strong pull. The quantum field chose you because you have the observer gene, which is a rare trait that not many people have. This is not just flowery language about the afterlife. It is the basis of quantum mechanics. Scientists call this effect the observer effect. It means that your consciousness doesn't just observe reality. It also helps make it. But they often leave out this secret. When your observer function gets stuck in patterns of thinking and feeling that repeat, you don't just see the same reality. You are, in a way, making it over and over again. Now take a good look at your life. How many times have you felt like you were talking to different people about the same thing? How often do you find yourself stuck in the same painful patterns in your job, your relationships, or even your daily life? You're not trying hard enough or having a string of bad luck. This is your mind, stuck in an observer loop, picking the same quantum possibilities from a field of infinite possibilities without realizing it. If you feel this first truth deeply, write "My awareness is the key" in the comments to let everyone know you've awakened. This shouldn't just be words. It should be a conscious recognition that you can now see the patterns in your life that you couldn't see before. Declaring something starts to break the loop because what is seen in the light of awareness can't hold power in the dark anymore. Your recent experience with time might be the strangest sign. Most likely you've noticed that it feels different. When you're doing boring things, minutes can feel like hours, but weeks fly by so quickly that you don't feel like you've made much progress. Your consciousness is clearly cycling through the same probability templates, as indicated by this temporal distortion. It makes you think you're moving forward when you're actually staying still in the quantum field. Because their minds work at a different frequency, your family and friends might not understand what you're going through. Linear time makes them feel safe because it is predictable and straight. What about you? You've always thought that reality is much more changeable and fluid than most people are willing to believe. You've had those brief, intense times when you felt like you could almost touch the very fabric of existence. Synchronicities happened all around you, like a beautiful cosmic symphony playing a song just for you. If you feel like you know something right now, it's not something new. Over many timelines and dimensions of experience, your soul has been getting ready for this deep understanding. Every book that seemed to be calling to you from the shelf, every spiritual practice that felt like coming home, and every moment of deep clarity that you couldn't explain were all lovingly placed to help you reach this conclusion about the observer loop. But here is the truth, which could free you or keep you stuck. When someone realizes they are in an observer loop, they often make the same important mistake. They try to think their way out. They think that if they can just understand how things work, they can change the way their lives work. It's like trying to get out of a maze by looking at a map instead of taking a risky walk down a different path. Your thoughts don't keep the observer loop in place. It lasts as long as you pay attention to it. As soon as you wake up in the morning, your mind automatically looks for patterns it knows. It works like a quantum GPS that is set to always go to the same place because it feels safe and familiar. The things you're aware of are used to picking out the same frequency signatures, emotional landscapes, and probability structures. Plus, these patterns feel more real the more you see them. The more real they seem, the more likely it is that you will see them again tomorrow. A reality feedback loop is what quantum field theorists call this. The very act of noticing makes the patterns you are desperately trying to break stronger. As these words wash over you, something very strange is happening in your quantum field right now. By just being aware of the observer loop, you are beginning to loosen its hold on your mind. This is the exact reason why this message reached you at this time on your journey. This meeting was set up by your higher self because you have reached a point where breaking free is not just possible, it is your destiny. You know how it feels when you're talking to someone and all of a sudden you remember having this exact conversation before? It was the exact same thing. The same words, the same tone, and the same outcome. Many people would just say that it's déjà vu, but you feel like there is something much more going on. Moments when your awareness catches a brief, startling glimpse of the repetitive nature of your observer loop are known as temporal echoes in quantum consciousness. This isn't just your mind playing tricks on you. Most people can't tune in to the frequency you're using, which is why you see these reality glitches that other people miss. It's possible for your consciousness to sense the underlying patterns that control manifestation itself. This is called quantum sensitivity. When you have those deep knowing moments that seem to come out of nowhere, when all of a sudden you understand a deep truth about life that you haven't read about or been taught in school. These aren't just random thoughts. In other lives, parallel versions of yourself have already broken out of their own observer loops and sent these memories through quantum memories. Your consciousness has advanced to the point where it is absorbing knowledge from your own future timelines. Press the like button to show your agreement if you have experienced these temporal echoes or deep knowing moments. Your quantum field will be imprinted with the energy of validation. This will strengthen your connection to your own higher wisdom and let the universe know, I am ready to receive more clarity. The strangest thing about it all is how lonely it can get at times. When you try to share these deep feelings with family or friends, they look at you like you're speaking a different language. The way they think about reality is still stuck in the old way of thinking, where things are solid, fixed, and unchangeable. You, on the other hand, have looked behind the curtain. You've seen that reality is more like a huge ocean full of possibilities. This is the ocean that most people are drowning in because they don't know they can swim. This is why some books seem to call to you from across a busy store. That's why some videos appear in your feed at just the right time. In fact, That's why you keep running into people who share your wonderfully strange ideas about being and being conscious. You are quantumly entangled with a global network of awakening souls who are all trying to break their own observer loops at the same time. So you are not just thinking positively to attract these synchronicities. Nothing you've been through, every disappointment, every pattern that held you back, and every time you felt like you were going backwards instead of forward, was a waste. All of that holy work led up to this very moment of recognition. Before your consciousness could develop the quantum awareness it needed to get out of the observer loop, it had to go through it from every possible angle. Picture a butterfly having a hard time inside its chrysalis. For someone on the outside, it looks like pain and suffering. But every second of that fight is a complete and total change in the way its cells are organized. The caterpillar doesn't just grow wings. Its DNA changes so that it can use skills that were always there, but had been dormant. Relationships that were hard for you were not punishments. They were like quantum mirrors that made it very clear which patterns of observation were keeping you stuck in cycles. Each person who made you feel strongly was, on a soul level, helping you figure out the exact frequencies where your consciousness gets stuck. It's not anxiety that you've been feeling so much pressure lately, like time is running out and you need to figure something out right away. This is your quantum field changing the way it is set up. Scientists use the term phase transition pressure to describe the pressure that a consciousness builds up as it gets ready to jump to a higher timeline. The same thing happens when you heat water to the right temperature. It turns into steam. Your awareness is getting close to the frequency at which the observer loop can no longer hold on to reality. Right now, like this video to ground the energy of purposeful change. Let your click mean that you understand the stress you're feeling is a sacred part of your growth. In quantum terms, this simple interaction is a strong sign that you are accepting what you are becoming. Even the times you were really confused and had a lot of doubts have been very important to this process. You were actually getting better at figuring things out every time you wondered if these insights were real or just a dream. You were developing the quantum sensitivity you would need to tell the difference between real growth and spiritual bypassing. As a result, your consciousness had to become very precise before it could safely leave these old patterns behind. This is why the time of waiting seemed so unbearably long. You could feel a big change coming, but you couldn't make it happen faster. That's because getting out of the observer loop doesn't require work or willpower. It's about reaching a certain level of coherence where your mind starts to pick out different quantum field probability waves on its own. If this pressure is building up inside you, honor your journey by writing, "I embrace my transformation," in the comments. Let this affirmation be a loving acceptance of the whole process, even the hard parts. Being like the butterfly in the chrysalis means you know that this intensity is not a sign of being broken, but the force of your becoming. As you read these words, something is starting to grow inside you. Feel it? There is a small change in your energy field, like when you hit a tuning fork. Your consciousness is starting to vibrate at a frequency that doesn't match the patterns of your present reality. Reality turbulence is what quantum physicists refer to as the result of this dissonance. The rough weather is a good sign. It means that your observer loop is finally becoming less stable. You're losing interest in the patterns that have kept you going through the same things over and over again. You are now in the breakthrough phase, which is the most delicate and powerful part of this whole change. This is where most people make a big mistake, though. They can feel this strong energy building up and try to direct it at the outside world right away. They want their relationships to change, their money to get better, and everything else in their lives to change overnight. You can change what you observe, though, and the observer loop will still work. It breaks because it changes the quality of your observation in a fundamental way. Your consciousness is downloading new rules for how to interact with the world right now. You don't have to learn these ideas in your head. They are energetic changes that are happening in your cells. Your DNA is changing so that you can connect with the quantum field in a new way. Weird physical feelings, changes in your sleep, or sudden changes in the foods and activities that feel good for you could be caused by this. Learn to feel this energy without trying to control it. This is the most important thing you can do at this time. Let it move through your body like water moving through a riverbed. It will create new mental pathways on its own. It's not your job to run this process. It is your job to become transparent to it, which means you shouldn't fight the quantum reorganization that is already happening. Now is the time when everything changes. But this is also the time when a lot of people unintentionally hurt their own freedom out of fear. They seek comfort in the known, even if those known patterns have caused them a lot of pain, because they are afraid of what the unknown might bring. Do not let this happen to you. What's going on inside you has never happened before. In real time, you are seeing your own consciousness change. Once you know exactly how your attention has been trapped, you will never fall back into old patterns by accident again. Feel this energy as we go deeper. The vast difference between intellectual awareness of the observer effect and embodied mastery of it is something that most quantum consciousness experts don't tell you, because most of them don't really understand it themselves. There are different levels of reality for knowledge and wisdom, so you can read all the books on consciousness and understand all the theories of manifestation and still be stuck in your observer loop. Here's a truth that may shock you. Your thoughts don't make things happen in your life. Your attention doesn't even make things happen. The coherence between your consciousness and the quantum field is what gives your reality its particular shape. And you can't fake, force, or positive think this coherence into being. It happens on its own when your observer function stops being fixed and starts being fluid. The minds of most people work like searchlights. They are intense, focused, and always looking for something. But a quantum consciousness works like sunlight. It's everywhere at once and lights everything up without any effort. You stop collapsing the same probability waves over and over when you switch your awareness from searchlight mode to sunlight mode. You get stuck in the observer loop because it makes your consciousness predictable to the quantum field. In the morning, if you automatically look for problems that you've dealt with before, check your phone for the same kinds of messages and expect the same kind of day. You are ordering the same reality from the cosmic menu. But here's something that will change the way you see things forever. The quantum field is eager to give you new experiences. You are always being bombarded by infinite possibilities that want to get your attention. But they can't because you are too focused on affirming the old patterns. You're not stuck because the universe isn't giving you what you need. Your mind has become too used to dealing with infinite potential, which is why you are stuck. The most advanced consciousness in the universe doesn't try to run things. It just dances with them. It stays in a state that we call coherent uncertainty. In this state, consciousness is fully present and involved, but not tied to a certain outcome. This lets it respond to reality instead of just reacting to it, which changes the kinds of experiences that can happen in a fundamental way. This is why some people seem to have easy lives, while others, even when the outside conditions are the same, seem to have a hard time all the time. It has nothing to do with favoritism, luck, or spirituality. The fundamental coherence between their consciousness and the force that makes existence possible is at issue. There are certain things you can notice in your daily life that show your observer loop is starting to break down. The quantum shift is happening right now. The first thing you'll notice is that synchronicities are happening more often and can't be ignored. It's not just winks from the universe. It's actively changing reality around your consciousness to make sure you are free. Pay attention to how birds and other animals react to you. Animals can tell when your consciousness is not in the observer loop because you give off a different kind of energy. If you've been making eye contact with birds more often, meeting strange animals, or noticing that your pets act differently around you, this is a beautiful sign that your quantum field is shifting. It's likely that your relationship with technology is also changing. You might notice that electronics act strangely around you, or they might work perfectly. When you think of someone, your phone might ring, or your computer might freeze up when you try to work with something that doesn't fit your new frequency. You are becoming more aware of electromagnetic fields, and these events are your growing awareness interacting with them. The way time feels is the most important sign. Observer loops keep linear time in place as a trick. When you finally let go, you'll start to feel what mystics call the eternal now. While you are fully present, minutes can feel like hours. But when you are working from a different time dimension, days may go by slowly. And now for the important part. The time for waiting is over. It is getting harder to get out of observer loops on a large scale in the universe. It's not meant to scare you. It's just how things work in physics. Thoughts and feelings change in waves. And right now, we are at the top of a huge wave that won't come again for generations. Everything that happened has been planned by your higher self to bring you to this moment of recognition. This is because the change that is possible now will be much harder to make later. The number of people in the collective field is getting to the point where they will either be able to break out of their patterns of limitation or become more deeply stuck in them than ever before. There's no more room in the middle. This is why you feel like you need to act right away. You know in your heart that right now, as you read these words, is the point where you will finally be able to break free. The things that you want also want you. This isn't just a motivational saying. It's one of the most important ideas in quantum mechanics. Every wish, vision, and chance that speaks to your soul is a real probability wave in the quantum field that is trying to fall into your physical world. You can't hear it, though, if you are stuck in an observer loop. Your attention is on the wrong frequency. The wants that seem the most impossible, or too good to be true, are the ones that have the strongest quantum signature in your field. They seem impossible because they happen on a timeline that your current ways of observing can't reach. There is only one frequency shift between you and a world where those impossible things happen all the time. In this case, knowing the important difference between alignment and attraction makes all the difference. You try to pull things towards you when you're attracted to them. Getting aligned means getting rid of the things that are stopping you from getting what you want. A lot of teachings about manifestation focus on attraction, which keeps you thinking that you and your desires are separate, which feeds the observer loop. When you realize that what you want is not separate from you at all, but just a different expression of your own consciousness, you are truly aligned. The observer loop loses its power when this recognition is taken to be real instead of just an idea. This is because there is nothing left to observe from afar. This is why pushing yourself harder, striving, and forcing yourself will only get you farther away from what you want. You choose that timeline every time you look at your reality through the lens of lack. Whenever you check to see if your desires have come true yet, you are strengthening the wall that keeps them away. It's not effort that makes the quantum field react. It's coherence. When your consciousness is coherent, which means that your attention, intention, and energy are all vibrating at the same frequency, reality changes to fit that coherence. You are the space where things are already happening, so you don't have to make them happen. To raise the frequency of coherence in your own energy field, like this video, this click is like a tuning fork that will help you remember that you don't have to make things happen. This action makes your cells even more aware of the fact that you are already the creative center of your world. The space between you and your highest timeline is closing right now as you feel this truth sink into your cells. It's not because you're doing something, but because you've stopped the doing that was keeping you away from it. To solidify this deep realization, say something in the comments that breaks down all barriers. I am aligned with what is mine. This is not a wish. It is a fact of quantum mechanics. By typing these words, you are closing the gap between you and the reality you want, and telling the universe that you are no longer looking for it. You are becoming it. Don't explain or add anything else. Just that one simple but strong truth. That's not for engagement. That's a quantum act of entanglement between your mind and the frequency where your real life lives. When you make this statement knowing what it means, you are telling the quantum field that you are ready in a way that can't be broken. In the past, the abilities that are awakening in your consciousness would have been seen as superhuman. But now, they are just the natural expression of an awareness that isn't stuck in an observer loop. Things are going to happen exactly as you think they will, and you don't know this because you're psychic. Instead, you know this because of quantum coherence with new possibilities. You are becoming more reality fluid, which means you can move consciously between different probability tracks. The lights turn green as you get closer. The perfect spot to park comes open. Conversations flow in ways that make things better for everyone. You are much more creative now that you aren't using the same old ideas over and over again. You are downloading ideas directly from the unified field. These are answers that didn't exist before you became coherent enough to see them. The way your body looks is changing, because your cells are finally getting new information instead of the same old stress signals. Long-term problems may start to go away on their own. Your energy levels are leveling off at a higher level now that you're not wasting life force trying to get out of cycles that keep happening. Now the observer effect is on your side instead of against you. One thing that can't be faked is coherence, which is the most creative force in the universe. Your thoughts, feelings, energy, and deepest knowing all vibrate at the same frequency. At that point, you become a force of creation that the quantum field has to respond to. This is the biggest secret that will permanently end all observer loops. This is why all your hard work and effort moves you farther away from coherence. When you try to change your reality, you start with the idea that you are separate from what you want, which makes the separation you are trying to get rid of even stronger. Relaxing and letting your consciousness remember its natural, unified state is the best way to achieve coherence. The change you are going through is actually part of a big step forward in evolution for our whole species. You're not supposed to be here. Your consciousness came into the world at this time because Earth is breaking out of a collective observer loop that has kept people stuck in cycles of conflict, lack, and separation for thousands of years. As soon as someone breaks out of the observer loop, it makes it easier for thousands of other people to do the same. This is what quantum field theorists call morphic resonance. It's not just you who is changing your reality. you are also creating a new possibility for all people. Being brave enough to question reality is literally changing the course of human evolution. Not only do you want to be free, but you are also a living link between the old and the new worlds. The coincidences that led you to this message are part of a bigger plan involving millions of souls who are awakening. We are finding each other, sharing our ideas, and speeding up this worldwide breakthrough. If you truly believe that you have this sacred duty, then take action by leaving a comment that says, "My freedom is for everyone." This sentence should be your promise. In this way, you realize that your personal breakthrough is not just for you, but for everyone. Each person who writes this makes the morphic field of service stronger, which grounds the new paradigm of unity on Earth. That's it. This is your quantum declaration that you are ready to become the coherence that ends all observer loops for good. The morphic field that supports everyone else gets stronger with each person who makes this statement. We're not just making a community, we're securing a new way of life. But please keep in mind that ending the observer loop is just the start. When your consciousness works from coherence, you can do things that most people think are impossible. In the next transmission, I will show you how to develop what we call quantum navigation. This is the skill of consciously switching between different probability tracks to create outcomes that, in the old way of thinking, seem impossible. This is not theory. This is mastery in the real world. I will only share these more complex ideas with people who have shown they are ready by breaking out of their observer loops first. As soon as you subscribe and click the bell, the next video will show a direct transmission of quantum principles being downloaded to Earth for the very first time in history. You are not just listening to a channel. You are in tune with a worldwide frequency of consciousness growth. The old reality is falling apart. The question is whether you will be a pioneer who helps the new world come into being, or whether you will be drawn into it later. Your future self is already existing in coherence with endless possibilities. The only thing that's uncertain is how quickly you will catch up. Say what you want. Get on the frequency. Everything around you has been waiting for you to remember who you are. You no longer have to wait today.